Well, one of the things that we first begin to teach is a breathing technique. Once grasped even by a larger, stronger person, can overcome that resistance through this kind of movement. Total body movement. Not moving a single limb, but moving as a unit. This makes you far stronger in overcoming somebody's grip, for instance, since they're only using their arm.
Now, are there any actual kill techniques in Aikido?
Oh yes, there is.
Wow.
Probably one of the fastest killing arts is Aikido, and it's done through the breaking of the neck.
Is that right?
From almost any kind of attack, front or rear, we could quickly spin around and break the neck of an attacker. This is not what an Aikidoist would want to do. Killing somebody is not really Aikido.
Now, why do you think there's very few Aikido schools in the world today as opposed to karate and taekwondo?
Well, because very truthfully, the world is a very aggressive place. Some of the more popular sports are what? Football, hockey. They're all aggressive sports. There's injuries all the time. And because people are aggressive, they like to see aggressive things. Go back to the days of the Romans, and you'll see that that's the way we are. And Aikido being the opposite end of this spectrum, not aggressive. A lot of people don't see any value in it. You didn't punch them or kick them, so gee, I can't see how you're going to, and they don't see pain unless you're screaming and hollering from it.
Right.
So people generally have a misunderstanding of the art to begin with. And since Aikido does attract a lot of passive people, and it is not always taught as a useful martial art, it's taught more ritualistic and more dance-like, which is just as healthy to practice as any other method, but not necessarily concentrating on self-defense. I primarily see Aikido as being a very practical defense system, and that's the way I teach it. Perhaps not as ritualistic as most Aikido, traditional Aikido. I do not teach in the traditional method because I found that it takes much longer to learn the value of the art through a traditional method than the one I've discovered on my own.
What do you think of Steven Seagal's portrayal of Aikido in his movies?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think the Aikido world itself is very happy about the way Mr. Seagal does his Aikido. However, I see it as a wonderful way of developing Aikido throughout the country because that is what people see. Now, once they get into school, then you can teach them to become less and less aggressive. For instance, I'm a Scorpio, which are known to be aggressive people. And over the years, that aggression has been literally squeezed out of me through the Aikido.
And tell us about your school.
Well, I have a school in New Haven, Connecticut. I have close to 100 students, which makes a decent-sized Aikido school. Most of my students, like other Aikido schools, are mostly professionals. I would say probably 90% of them are college graduates. I have engineers, I have doctors, attorneys. I have a lot of police and correctional officers because they cannot use karate for fear of brutality suits. And Aikido suits them fine, and it works quite well for their jobs. I've heard a lot of funny stories from my police officers on their use of Aikido.
And tell us about your ranking system. Do you go by belts? How does a student acquire a black belt in Aikido?
Well, in my school, we use the colored belt system. In some traditional schools, they go from white to black, never changing color through the cues. But we use the white belt, yellow belt, green belt, 3 grades of brown, and then black belt. And it normally will take the average person training perhaps 3 times a week. It would take them probably 3.5 to 4 years to make black belt. However, by black belt, they need to be able to demonstrate within a 35-minute period, 150 techniques minimum, defense against a real knife, club, and a multiple attack of 5 men must be done credibly well in order to achieve their black belts. And they since I began teaching, I've made 35 black belts.
That's great.
And I have currently 9 still practicing.
What makes a good student in Aikido?
Well, attitude is attitude and dedication is really the key elements to a good student. For instance, my partner, Jim Bonasconi, who worked with me on the videos, is an excellent student. He's also my son-in-law, married my daughter, and he has all the qualities that I look for in a student. I'm very fortunate with the kind of students that I have attracted over the years.
Now, you've done a series of videos with Panther Productions. What do you hope your videos teach the public?
Well, basically, I hope to teach them practical self-defense, but also with the hope that they never need to use it. As far as defense, there are ways of discouraging people rather than fighting with them, and it is more a mental thing than a physical thing. For instance, confrontations. Instead of entering into a confrontation, you can sometimes avoid it without escalating into a fight of some kind.
And how does that attitude develop?
Well, it develops with a lot of practice and having it pounded out of you through some of the throwing techniques, so to speak. My workouts are very hard in the school. We concentrate on half an hour of calisthenics and preparatory exercises. We do a technique repetitiously on count. This is quite strenuous, and I always leave them with a half an hour of freestyle practice. And during the freestyle practice, each new student works with an advanced student who then teaches them the basic techniques one-on-one until they are very familiar with this. I stress the basics constantly. It's very important, just the basic techniques.
What are your favorite techniques in Aikido?
Well, you see, my techniques, really my favorite are throwing. I love the throwing techniques of Aikido. And for me, they're quite easy and simple to do, and they're beautiful to watch. And I just love to do them. I love to entertain people with them.
Now, you're available for seminars. You've traveled all up and down the East Coast, and you've actually done some in Paris, I believe.
Yes,
France.
I have. Paris, Bermuda, I've done them, California, throughout the South.
Tell us about your seminars and what you teach and who comes and how people can get in touch with you.
Well, recently I did one in Boston that had 120 participants. And not only Aikido people, many karate people come to these seminars because I teach a lot of basic grabbing techniques that are very effective and very useful. I get a lot of police officers in the seminars because of the come-along techniques that I teach as well. I do not teach a lot of techniques in a seminar because people who come to my seminars, I want them to learn something. And I want it to be useful for them, something that they can take home and continue to practice.
And how do you handle people in the seminar who might be strongly embedded in karate or they're...
Well, believe it or not, I handle them pretty easily. Anybody who is in a seminar, and they usually will pick the largest people in the seminar, because there are some people who doubt Aikido will work. And after a few minutes, they lose their doubts. I recall a time when I do programs for Connecticut correctional facilities. And the first program I did, I walked into a room with 10 huge correctional officers who had encountered Aikido through a woman teaching them. Who apparently did not have all that much experience in it. So they were very doubtful. And within 5 minutes, they were calling me sir. So
it works.
It works.
Now, what words of advice do you have for our viewing audience before we close?
Well, if you like to get involved in this art, plan on putting in the time. You know, many people are dreamers who just, oh, well, gee, I think I'd like to try it. Well, don't try Aikido. Either commit yourself to it or don't do it, period. Mm-hmm. That's probably the best advice I can give to anyone who is interested in Aikido. If you're going to do it, do it.
And how does the future of Aikido look today?
Well, I think Aikido has a great future. Years ago, it was Judo. Mm-hmm. And then after Judo, it became Karate. Mm-hmm. Now after Karate is Aikido.
Right.
And I think it will probably grow into the most popular martial art ever. I really do.
Well, thank you very much, Master. We appreciate all your insights.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank
you. It was nice talking with you.